What's going on, family? It's your guy, Boro, the lucky Libra in the building. Family, you're looking beautiful. Go ahead, take your seats, take your seats. Thank you for attending another church service. All right. As y'all can see by the title of the video, man. All right. As you can see by the title, you see I got like somewhat of a little natural grin on my face, right? As you can see by the title of the video, that boy Saturn going direct. Okay, so we want to go ahead and take it from the top, understand what this really means, because you know around here we trying to stay in alignment, right, family? That's why we're here in the first place. All right, so I appreciate the like, share, subscribes, subscrizzles, the donations, everything, the collection plates. All right, family. Okay, so let's get right into it, guys. Now, Saturn is now direct. Now, Saturn been retrograde since June 17th, guys. Saturn been retrograde since June 17th. And we want to jump back into that date to understand what things were highlighted during that retrograde phase. Now, when we look at Saturn and Pisces in a whole, we understand Pisces, mutable water, ruled by Jupiter, Neptune influences. So we're dealing with a constellation here that's very connected to the astral realm, helps us connect to the astral realm. Pisces energy has a lot to do with what's developed and created when multiple energies get to feel each other's subconscious out or exchange emotions, inner thoughts and emotions. Pisces is the ones that gets to understand this mutable water, how my expression or how I feel impacts how other people feels and vice versa, right? Very free sign, right? Very free spirited, very creative, strong spiritual inclination, okay? But we're dealing with strong creative energies, manifestation properties, healing properties, okay? And a lot of internal work. There's always going to be some internal work involved when we're dealing with the water signs, guys. We know this already, all right? Water energy always helps us to reflect upon what we're connected to and how what we have, the people, places, and things we've connected to has affected us in some type of shape or form, all right? So we have all those energies with Pisces, and then Saturn comes up in here this year. All right, now we know Saturn deals with restrictions, all right, boundaries, and it's trying to place restrictions and boundaries because it wants to build, it wants to stabilize, it wants a proper foundation, it doesn't want shortcuts, all right? Saturn embodies time. So wherever Saturn is transiting, the universe is going to feel a spiritual push to dedicate some time towards these things, to acknowledge and identify when there's a sacrifice that may need to be made for something that you're building and structuring in that area of your life, aka where Pisces is at in your chart. And especially for a lot of us that, have a whatever house Pisces is in our natal chart, maybe before Saturn even got there, we wasn't even giving it no time. There was a lot of responsibilities and things in that house we wasn't even paying attention to. That's why this year you may have found yourself with a lot of things being pushed back, on pause, or you having to reflect a lot in different areas, especially the areas where you have mutable signs at, but in different areas in order to get the proper foundation rolling in that house. All right. But with all that being said, that's Saturn energy, right? It's trying to bring structure. Doesn't care about the emotions, doesn't care about how it's seen doing something, right? It ain't really that considerate of of other people's feelings and emotions. Let's just call it what it is. All right, let's call it what it is. So that's how Saturn's moving. So that influence of Saturn being Pisces this year, when it comes to everything dealing with our subconscious, right? Whether that's our shadow, our insecurities that may have been developed from, aspirations and creative endeavors that didn't go our way, or things that we have an outlook on as far as potential of what we can create and manifest out of our imagination. When it comes into everything dealing with connection and attachments in our life, our dreams itself, Pisces rule our dreams, right? These things we've all been pushed to really look at it from as realistic as possible, as practical as possible, and see how we can mold things in our reality to bring these things down. How to mold, things really in both spaces. You got to work in the astral realm to see the things manifest in this third dimension, right? In this physical reality. So really understanding what physical properties we could put in place to start reeling our imagination down into reality, better yet said. So, guys, while Saturn's been retrograde, or even before Saturn went retrograde, the fact that that's what Saturn in Pisces is doing, right? Helping us understand where to place restrictions and limitations at or boundaries at and dedicate our time to in order to build things dealing with our creative endeavors, our imagination, especially with healing, spiritual development, right? Things, healing the subconscious. This is what Saturn's been enforcing. This is why we may have ran into different issues in other areas, because us being reluctant, hesitant, or dealing with whatever challenge to activate something in our Pisces house to give it that time or structure that something may need, it may be having conflict doing that in that house based off something you got going on in another house, right? You may have planets in mutable signs, okay, in Sagittarius, Virgo, or Gemini. So even when you're trying to do things in your Pisces house, you still got friction coming from whatever you're doing in those houses. All right. So with Saturn being retrograde, we're going to start here. With Saturn being retrograde, it's important to understand when you look at that house you have Pisces in since June 17th, think about the things you're trying to build, structure in this house, the things you're trying to map out in this house. A lot of us have caught new long-term goals of things we want to build in this house since Saturn got in here this year. So since June 17th, you want to look back and see what things did you have to, either pause, what things did you have to, you might have been in motion with something you were building and structuring, and then you had to pause it because you realized there were other options, alternatives, details, forms of guidance to pay attention to in the moment. It may have been a previous person, place, or thing that came back to play into something that you're doing now that looked like they could add into it. These are all things that you want to look out for when it comes into that house that you have Pisces in your natal chart. All right, what replayed and came back, or what do you feel like was being highlighted around this time? Okay, especially for a lot of you guys that can adamantly speak out and express about what seeds you've been planting in this area, what things you've been working on and stabilizing on. If there was something that you needed to see, to edit, to revise, it was pointed out during this time. Okay, and I didn't really want to start here, but you know how the lucky Libra go, y'all. We just be flowing and growing and moving and grooving. All right. So I really wanted to make sure I highlight, the difference between the direct and the retrograde process, guys. Understand, when a planet is direct, it's always active, right? The thing that it needs to do where it's at, it's in motion. The revision process is the retrograde process. That's when we get to do our homework. We get to study up a little bit. So now that Saturn's going direct, I've seen a couple of narratives in the past 24 hours with a lot of people saying how certain fruits and rewards are supposed to come now in different ways, how things may start opening up. And that's very true as far as things probably starting to progress and open up in certain ways in your Pisces house. But when Saturn going direct, this is the application process now. So anything back to where we was at, when it comes to anything you feel like that was on pause during retrograde time that you had to revise in your Pisces house, okay, this is now what you need to make sure you apply. The retrograde process was in order for you to observe these things, see if it's something you could use, see if there's something you could take out of what you was doing in the house in your Pisces house that you was building. Once again, a lot of these things are going to be understandings about your subconscious, attachments, your approach towards your creative endeavors and things in your imagination. All right. Pisces like to connect, man. Pisces like to connect. So when we talk about Saturn dealing with restrictions, yeah, there's a lot of things we all been connected. There's a lot of things we connect to in that Pisces house. That Pisces house be dreaming, fantasizing, feeling good about things, seeing the good in everything. You got a serial killer in your house. Pisces like, all right, hold on. I'm gonna just make them something to eat, let them go. Pisces, get that serial killer out your house. What's wrong with you, Pisces? Heart too big. Okay? So if we know we go through all these influences in our Pisces house with our imagination, how Pisces don't get hurt with this one. I'm a Libra, so we kind of get this too, but we could be gullible in that space. All right, we could be a little gullible and passive in that space at times. So with all that could lead to, Saturn comes in and forces here, right? It's a strong level of enforcement here. So this may have been a year that a lot of us have lost access, or we've had to learn how to go without something that we've usually been able to connect to in some type of shape or form. All right. Now, so I want everybody to pay attention to that as far as what you once again feel like was restricted, on pause, this, that, and the third, since Saturn was direct, because whatever you feel like was highlighted, these are things that you need to implement into your Pisces house as things progress. All right. Now, mutable signs. mutable signs and mutable houses. All right, guys, I want everybody to look at their chart and look at the houses that you have mutable signs in, right? So if we know Saturn is in the house, you have Pisces. And when we look at your opposite house, which is going to be your Virgo house, and we look at the square houses, which is going to be whatever house you have Virgo and Gemini in, these are very important houses when it comes into the Saturn and Pisces transit, okay? Because when Saturn's trying to build and structure and influence you to dedicate your time and structure a foundation in the house that you have Pisces in, and mind you, it's not just about the house that you have Pisces in. Saturn is ruling reality in general. It's just that because its current transit is in Pisces, for us to have our reality feeling stable, we need to learn how to stabilize Pisces energy in the moment. Okay, so we have to look at it from that perspective. Don't think it's just your Pisces house. In your natal chart, your Pisces house right now is a house that needs stability in order to keep a nice flow of stability in general and have that overflow into other areas. Okay, but back to the houses that we have mutable signs in. Your opposite square houses is always your op houses. So you got Saturn over here trying to build what it's building in the house that you have Pisces in, but it may be certain new experiences, things that you're entertaining, trying to explore, or catching your attention in your Sagittarius house. It might be things dealing with relationships, what's around you, surrounding you, close to you in your Gemini house, and in your opposite house, your Virgo house, things in your regiment and how you deal with your schedule and organize things in general that may be opposite towards the things that need to be stabilized in your Pisces house. So this is very important. I need everybody to pay attention to that and analyze them houses. Like, what habits do I have in my Gemini Virgo Sag house that's holding me back from the things I'm intentional about structuring, wanting to build, or potentially have to make sacrifices for. I don't know. We don't bring up Saturn. You talking to a Cap Moon rising Libra Sun. Don't bring up Saturn and make sure you mention that word sacrifice. Make sure you mention that word. All right. I say that word with a smile on my face. All right. Y'all be hating on the god Saturn. Boy be coming through. Okay. When you learn how to make some sacrifices, some shit is one of the most blissful things you can feel, seeing the result of what came out of that sacrifice. Okay. So if we really want to find some foundation in that house and see some things get reeled into reality, or even just deal with things dealing with, once again, healing. All right, us being able to restrict some things for the betterment of our well-being. That is very big with Saturn and Pisces. So that's why a lot of us could be going through a lot, because there's very things that may be harming us or things that we're not allowing ourselves to detach from. All right, we all have different things that we're attached to. We all have whatever example that we have going on in our personal lives, but we have to understand that is the reality of this placement. Okay, so the reality. But so yeah, guys, pay attention to the mutable houses. All right. Pay attention to the mutable houses. Obviously, the opposite house being the house that Virgo is in, that shows you right now, guys, we have to make sure our schedule regimen is intact, because it makes it so hard for Saturn trying to blueprint things in that Pisces house on how to structure and build things in that house. And then in the house you have Virgo in, you're not even, your regimen is chaotic in there, is upside down, is unstable. That's hard. You're not giving Saturn some more pockets to work with as far as how to deal with things in your schedule and regimen in some type of shape or form. We know that's the opposite energy Pisces and Virgo bring to each other. We have Pisces on one axis dealing with more of the subconscious, more of the creative, mystical perspective, right? More of the connection to the astro space. And then we got Virgo, how the process of working things down in reality, working with time, structuring things, seeing the detail, nurturing that idea or whatnot through the practical work. And we are having to learn that balance right now, whether we have planets in mutable signs or not. Us having Saturn and Pisces in some type of shape or form, our Virgo house is getting challenged to be more intact with things. Okay, so that's what we got going on there, guys. Then dedicating your time to the Pisces house is how you stay in alignment. Okay, so that's really more of a general theme of Saturn and Pisces right now, guys. As it goes back direct, understand, like, your time, we have to be very intentional about where our time is heading. And it's so funny right now because, just this weekend with Saturn going direct, there's a lot of things that I'm looking at from, things I want to apply myself towards these next couple of months. And I'm seeing how I didn't realize it until I started mapping things out today. But I'm like, damn, I'm not going to have the time to do some of these things that I thought I was going to be able to do or fit into my schedule. I'm going to have to sacrifice some of this in order to build structure this for this long-term result that I really need. So there's a lot of those type of decisions to be made right now, guys. Let's be as spiritually mature and wise as possible to really understand what's the most important thing, what's priority, what's responsibility around this time, and do our best to honor that. All right, guys. So we got that going on. And then Capricorn. All right. Capricorn dominance, suns and risings, Aquarius suns and risings. All right. The Saturn influence signs. Understand with things going direct. Yes, you can see things in your personal life as far as things being on pause start to open up. When I say open up, this is me saying solutions being provided towards things that were on pause, but everything still needs application. I never like to, if you guys realize, I never like to explain anything as things falling on your lap. Obviously, we run into certain alignments, influences, energies, and spiritual opportunities. Obviously, we run into certain situations in our life when sometimes, oh shit, I found $100 on the floor. It happens. It happens sometimes. But for the most part, guys, a lot of it is us catching the influence and being in alignment with the influence and working with the energies that be, taking the energies that we have, right? Our solar system, our natal chart, our spirit, our frequency vibration, our alignments, and working with the alignments of the world that we in. And, you know, moving and grooving in that way. So that's all application at the end of the day. So, yeah, Cap and Aquarius placements, like pay attention to solutions opening up. I'm a Cap moon and rising, and it's just so funny when I look back at June 17th, seeing things that was on hold around this time, and now I'm looking at what I'm working towards and, you know, what I'm looking towards, being intentional about placing my time towards and building, moving on from now. It kind of, you know, shows a perspective of how certain things had to get on pause around that time. Okay. And, you know, for me, it's just clear today to see how that energy about things being open as far as a perspective of how you can build things is there. Not so much things falling in your lap. It's still going to be application here, but the perspective of how you can build these things can start to open up for a lot of my Cap Aquarius placements, and in general for the houses that we have Pisces in. But just going off the Saturn ruled signs. All right, guys. But understand, if you are a Cap Aquarius dominant, you are the Saturn ruled sign. So you're the one that has to lead the way, even if Saturn is not in a sign that it's comfortable in, right? Well, I ain't gonna say Saturn's not comfortable in Pisces. It's more of a neutral thing. That's not really Saturn's element like that. Creativity and, you know, emotion and fantasy. That's not really Saturn thing for real. But it's not so much of a detriment, right? It's not really a detriment or debilitation. But with all that being said, you guys are the Saturn guys, so you have to make sure you're an example of what that application, with that sacrifice, with that devotion, with that time management, with that placing boundaries, restriction, you know, understanding the significance of time in general. You're the example of that. So let's make sure when it comes into things y'all learned in these past, 3.5 months to stand the third, that y'all are able to lead by example in that way. All right. Pisces placements. All right, Pisces placements. How many times in this video did I say y'all love to connect already? So with that being said, y'all got to make sure right now that everything you've been learning this year about how the things you connect to affect your reality, take that into account, Pisces. All right. I love me some Pisces energy. You see how I just got like real kind of cozy and cuddly? I'm holding my arms and shit, talking to y'all. I got a soft spot for my Pisces, okay? I feel like y'all one of the most misunderstood zodiac signs, and I'm there for the misunderstood zodiac signs, okay? But with that being said, Pisces, I know there's been a lot of harsh restrictions that done came into y'all personal lives this year. I know there's a lot of things y'all may have seen potential in this year. It could be a relationship, creative endeavor, and it took a left turn. It probably added more work that you thought that you didn't realize you were gonna have to more work or responsibility to that process, to that goal, or whatever it is. Right. So I know a lot of y'all dealt with some of those things. Certain time frames of things you wanted to manifest this year got pushed back. Like don't fight it. Right. Just follow what you feel like is the most, realistic things to do in these situations. All right. God got something for you. All right. You better believe that God got something for you. But a lot of you guys are being challenged to really work with the properties of time in these earthly ways. And I know a lot of y'all sometimes, I always make a joke and say my Pisces, a lot of y'all is not even here. Y'all like 60% here, 40% here, 60% still in the astral realm. Pisces don't never really fully come down here. All right. Saturn trying to bring y'all ass down. No. Saturn trying to bring y'all ass down. Okay. So when it comes to y'all responsibilities and priorities, I just want y'all to make sure y'all tighten up as Saturn goes direct, so y'all not getting thrown, for a whirlwind because there wasn't no, you kind of slacking when it comes into being on point with these type of things. All right, guys. So shout out to my Caps, Aquarius, my Pisces placements, my mutable placements. Shout out to y'all. Two of the mutable signs have a lot to do with movement. Gemini, more so long, movement and travel in a local space. Sagittarius, more so long distance travel. When it comes into things dealing with commuting to different places, whether it's for, you guys' careers, when it comes into you guys' vehicles and all of that, if you dealt with anything that you had to work on with these things during Saturn being retrograde, right? That check engine light on. All right, you got to do this and the third when it comes into how you arrange things for traveling. It could get a little sticky if you had to make sure you had to get on top of something. Now Saturn's going directly, you wasn't on top of it. So let's get on top of that as soon as that ASAP. Especially if you have Gemini Sag placements. Saturn also deals with chronic influences, chronic ailments and shit, karmic influences, karmic cycles. So anything that's been bothering you guys in general, guys, if you have something like, once again, healing with Pisces energy in general too. But when it comes into anything that's been bothering you guys physically, when it comes into your well-being, if it's been something that's been real repetitive around this time, don't let that linger for too long, right? Get that together. Take initiative for your health, guys. Okay. So let's make sure we take, especially with the opposite sign being Virgo, especially with the sign that rules health, being opposite to Virgo. So you got Pisces building attachments, connecting to certain things, and depending what we connected, depending on what we're connected to, we have to understand how it's affecting our well-being. Virgo gets to check that energy, all right, being the opposite sign. Okay, so we just want to make sure we take that into account. Now, Saturn is going to go retrograde in Pisces 2 more times within the next 2 years. So take your time working with your Pisces house, right? Ain't nothing with Saturn's a rush, guys. Ain't one blood clot thing a rush. All right. Trust your process in this area. All right, family. And lack of application can lead into new restrictions and refinement in our Pisces houses, potentially our other mutable houses as well, too. All right. So the things we know we're supposed to be sacrificing, the things we know we're supposed to be like when you know better, you got to do better. So it's one thing when God, universe, is your first lesson learned and something kind of threw you for a loop, blindsided you with a little lesson real quick. It's like, damn, that wasn't in class. That was like, I know it was a pop-up quiz. Pop quiz. Get your ass on. All right. You ain't get it this time. All right. So sometimes universe be having pop quizzes for that ass. But when you know better, you got to do better. So everything that we understand that we're supposed to sacrifice, boundaries, restrictions, devoting our time to, building a foundation with, making sacrifice for, all of that in that house that Pisces is in, is direct now, guys. It's direct. So if we don't apply ourselves, we could just run into a whole, the retrograde process was for us to make sure we don't run into a whole bunch of extra karma when it goes direct. So this is the time not to sleep on any of those things. All right, gang? But once again, I appreciate y'all tuning into another church service. All right, guys, y'all stay strong, stay spiritually, strong out there when it comes to the Saturn and Pisces trends. Saturn don't be playing. Saturn got some hands. Saturn got hooks, uppercuts, counter punches. He could take a punch like a mug. All right, other day I ran up on Saturn, hit him with went upside his shit. That shit ain't budged that nigga or nothing. I got my ass on. I hope, don't tell that nigga where I'm at. All right, don't tell him I made this video or anything. I got that nigga blocked on everything right now, family. All right. So if he asks y'all about me, you ain't see me. Okay, I don't know, borrow. He ain't been posting or nothing. I don't know. You seen? Well, he owe you money, son. That nigga owe me money too. All right, make up a lie, y'all. That nigga be bullying niggas. But all jokes aside, let's get on with it. We could feel some of y'all could feel some of the direct presence, understanding, okay, it's time to apply myself with something I'm gonna structure, build, and get comfortable with the work process. That's the last thing I'm gonna say about that. Saturn and Pisces energy, Saturn energy in general is really always going to influence you to get comfortable with working hard or get comfortable with the process of working for something and not looking at it as something like, oh, I got to work. No, own it. Honor that process. All right, guys. But that's what we got going on. Y'all know I love y'all. I appreciate all the likes, shares, subscribbles, and all that, all the contributions to the church. It warms my heart, family. All right. Until next time, gang. Peace.